Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to a truly amazing game from the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League tournament in 2024. We have here Hikaru Nakamura against Alireza Firouzja in an amazing Moscow variation of the Sicilian defense, and in this game you'll see a beautiful rook and pawn chess endgame idea introduced to us here by Alireza Firouzja. Really a thematic idea that I think could be useful in your studies in rook and pawn chess endgame. So put your seatbelts on and enjoy in a beautiful derby between Hikaru Nakamura and Alireza Firouzja. So with the white pieces, Hikaru opened with the move e4, c5 by Alireza, knight to f3, d6, bishop to c4, the Moscow variation, knight to d7, castling a6, pretty standard ideas, and now Hikaru simply retreats with the bishop, keeps of course a healthy structure here in the center. After move knight to f6 and d3, we have now sort of a King's Indian structure by white King's Indian attack structure. What Hikaru is of course trying to do is now make progress with maybe moves like knight to e1, knight to d2, f4, f5, put more pressure on this side of the board, because this small pawn chain is of course showing you the direction of the attack. Alireza of course continues with the queen side flank attack. We have now knight from f to d2, which already equalizes the game for white. The engine doesn't like this move by Hikaru Nakamura because first of all, what the engine wants to do here is a clarification on the queen side, because notice now the bishop on c8 is not connected to the rook on a8, so you would have to play bishop to b7 in order to somehow keep your rook connected, and now there's enormous pressure already on the a file, and black would be pretty much forced to play the move b4, and now the position on the queen side is not so dangerous for white to handle. So the engine wants you first of all to take care of the problems on the queen side, and then maybe to go into this attack with f4. But okay, after knight from f to d2, Alireza continues with e6, and again Hikaru had the opportunity to play a4, but he played now his idea f4, and now after bishop to b7, you see now this whole concept with a4 is not so dangerous anymore, because now Alireza doesn't have to pass through. He plays simply normal bishop to e7, and if you take now you see the bishop is connected, and still black is continuing with enormous pressure on this side of the board, which is I think a different story. Now black keeps the flexibility on the queen side, black keeps of course the spaces on that side of the board. But okay, after bishop to e7, here we have bishop to f3. Hikaru competes now against this bishop in a different way, and now after queen to c7, Alireza connects now the queen to the bishop, knight to c3, a provocative move by Hikaru Nakamura. He wants of course to force now the move b4, but you see the move b4 could have happened much earlier if Hikaru would have played much earlier this move a4. So now it's a different story. Now the knight has to go on a strange square on e2. It seems like a good square for the knight, but look at this. When we watch now this position harder, this is not really the optimal score for the piece, because you're controlling basically nothing here. The pawn on f4 is standing in the way. In order to make something to happen, I think from white's perspective, we have to launch then an f5 breakthrough. So pretty unnatural position, I would say, now from both sides. Well, we have now knight to b8, also a strange move by Alireza. He wants of course to reroute the knight here to d4, but h5, knight to g4 would be, I think, also very interesting idea with d5, maybe liberating this diagonal. So many attacking chances now suddenly here for black. But okay, after knight to b8, I would say a pretty equal position, and now Hikaru plays b3. Again, a too passive move. He should have gone into this King's Indian attack immediately with f5, e takes f5, then you can play knight to g3. Look at this, suddenly your pieces are breeding. You gave up a pawn, but now you have a beautiful piece activity. Look at this, f5 is open, bishop is liberated. I think this was the way to go here for Hikaru. But after b3, Alireza continues now with this normal plan. Hikaru covers now the d4 square, and now after move d5 by Alireza and queen to e1, attacking now the king on e8 indirectly, of course, but it's a good move here by Hikaru. If something clears on the e file, then the king could be endangered. Alireza plays now a beautiful move. He plays now queen side castling. This is the way to go, because we know that Hikaru wants to attack the king side. So now Alireza is castling out of the attack, which is, I think, great strategy here. Nothing dangerous can happen now on the king side. Hikaru tries, of course, with queen to f2 to do something, but now Alireza simply keeps it calm, improves now the position of the king. Again, Hikaru attacks now the center and the king side, but now Alireza further improves the king, so nothing dramatic can really happen now on this side of the board. And although white has some kind of a space advantage on this side of the board, nothing dangerous can happen because the king is simply not there. So after move king to a8, Hikaru also improves the position of the king, and now comes this idea that we have seen previously, h5, with the idea to maybe play knight to g4 and opening up now maybe the h file with the support of the queen. Things could be very dangerous already on this side of the board. E takes d5, e takes d5. Here black should be already much better, and now Hikaru makes another mistake. He plays now knight to g3, which was really unnecessary move. In order to stay in the game, he has to play move like bishop to f6, and then after bishop to f6 to try to pick up this pawn on c5. Again, black should be much better, even down a pawn, because black can, I think, even simplify the game by trading off the queens here and go simply for the c2 attack, for the c file attack against the pawn on c2. With the bishop pair in such an open battle, I guarantee you white will not have fun time, would probably play something like this, but in one moment you have to bring your pieces into the defense. Look at this, you have to in one moment stuck to the defense of the pawn on c2, even in some lines bishop to h4 moves are dangerous. Of course, white and black don't have to play the game like this, but I wanted to show you that even in an optimal scenario here for white, pardon me, if white gets an extra pawn, still it's such a tough position to play because of the amazing bishop pair. So here Hikaru played even worse move, knight to g3, but now Alireza picks up now the pawn on f4, forces now here this tactical sequence with bishop to d1. Now, okay, this pawn on c2 is protected, but you simply lost the pawn. Here we have knight to f5, knight to g4, great counter attack here by Alireza, queen to g3, queen takes g3, and now h takes g3, bishop to f6, bishop to f6, and after g takes f6. Okay, Hikaru found a different way how to go into, I don't know, simplified endgame, but still white is now down in material, is down a pawn. Here, what of course Alireza has to do now is somehow to include the light square bishop into the game. We have now knight to f3. Maybe a better choice is simply to play king to g1, but now Hikaru is hoping to find finally a piece activity, and after bishop to c8, now another mistake here by Hikaru. He simplifies the game too much, I would say, now with his trades of knights. A better choice is simply to keep at least your pieces connected around the square f5. And now, for instance, if black wants to take, then you would have at least a powerful knight on this side of the board. The bishop could come into the game, so at least the knight is still active. But after knight to e7, you're just simplifying the game too much. Here Alireza locks out now the rook on e7, and now here knight to h4. You see the move that Hikaru could have played earlier now is simply not working, because after knight to e3, Alireza simplifies now the game till the end. After a couple of trades of rooks, we're reaching now this end game in which Alireza is up a pawn. Okay, these are double pawns, but still the main concept now for black is here to somehow to play f5 and then f4 to trade off this bad pawn for maybe a good pawn here of whites on g3, and then continue the game with really an extra pawn, because when you have double pawns, it's not so clear if this is really an extra pawn for you. So now you see Alireza is going for this plan, marches of course with the king towards the center of the board, plays now bishop to g4. We have now knight to f1, rook to g5, knight to e3, bishop to e6, and now suddenly this idea king to e5, great move with the preparation of course to play finally f4, f5 and f4, rook to h4, bishop to g4, rook to king to e1, and now f5, rook to h1, and now finally f4. And now comes, I think, the first really critical moment of this endgame, and here Alireza shows his amazing endgame skills. First of all, here knight to g4 was played by Hikaru. If you play something like g takes f4, then king to f4 leads now into this endgame that we have talked about. Here black is really now up a pawn, because he finally traded off his bad pawn for the pawn on the g file. But now, instead of this line, Hikaru went for knight to g4, and Alireza played a brilliant rook takes g4. This is the way to go. He allowed now here Hikaru to pick up this pawn on h5, but now he activates his king towards the center of the board, and this is great stuff, because in rook and pawn chess endgames, the king has to be really one of your most active pieces. Who has a better king, who has a more active king, will probably win the endgame. And of course, who has the more active rook. So you see now, with the rook on the already on the 4th rank, attacking both of this pawn on g file, and also with the king on d4, both missions accomplished here, I would say here, Alireza Firouzja. He has now both of his most valuable pieces on the optimal scores in a rook and pawn chess endgame. It's really completely winning. Although the material is equal, but when you have such an activity, you will probably win the game. And now, of course, rook to h4, rook takes g3. Okay, you can grab now this one, but now king to c3. What should you do? Here, rook to f2 was played by Hikaru. He doesn't want to pick up this one, because if he would have taken this pawn, then after rook takes g2, this one is hanging. Then both of these pawns would be very weak if you lose, of course, the pawn on c2. So that's why rook to after rook to f4, king to c3, Hikaru kept now everything connected on the 2nd rank. And now f5, Alireza goes for his plan. As we said, if you try even something like this, then we simply push the pawn further. And even if you pick up now this one, again, this one is lost, and then d3 is weak, b3 weak, again, completely winning endgame here for black. So instead of this move king to f1, here Hikaru tried king to d1, connecting now finally the king to the pawn, but Alireza continues with his plan: f4, a5, d4. First of all, locking everything on this side of the board, and now rook to e2. And now comes really the critical moment of the game. Maybe just for fun, pause the video and try to see now the winning idea here for black. Black moves and wins the game. Alireza played this move, very instructive play. So take your time, solve this beautiful rook and pawn chess endgame puzzle. Okay, here Alireza played a beautiful f3, sacrifice now the pawn just in order to force a trade of rooks. Really amazing stuff. And now when this rooks are trade off, now he can go for this pawn. Hikaru can of course push the pawn on f4, but now c4 is winning the game, and in this particular position Hikaru Nakamura resigned. So what's the issue? Let's see options. For instance, if you try d takes c4, then the pawn is marching, white pawn is also marching, but look at this, white doesn't have access to the d1 square. If this would be the case, if somehow you would have the access to the d1 square, then of course this pawn cannot be promoted. But now in this potential race situation, obviously black is much faster, will promote the queen, will grab now all of these pawns, and it's game over. Even if we play b takes c4, the same thing happens. Then the b pawn is marching again. You don't have access with your king to protect now the potential promotion. You can start, of course, to push the pawns here, but in this race situation again, black is much faster. Again, it would be completely game over here for white. So stunning game by Alireza Firouzja. Really important endgame ideas. I think if you're a beginner, this is perfect video for you, because Alireza applied really the most important principles here: king activity, rook activity, even giving up some pawns just in order to get this extra square, to get extra activity with your pieces. So amazing stuff again by the top GM Alireza Firouzja. And Alireza, we have to mention, is in top shape in this event. He gained 4.5 points out of the 5 games that he played. He gained many rating points. He is now the 5th best rated player in rapid chess, but it's not so far away from this other players like Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura. So Alireza is playing really great chess. He had also a little bit luck, we have to say it, in his game against Magnus Carlsen, when he won the game with only the knight against the bishop and the queen, and when Magnus lost on time, we know that still black can win the game with this extra knight. So it was an amazing and thematic endgame. Also, I've also covered it here on my YouTube chess channel. Check it out. Okay, what to say? We'll cover, of course, the next couple of rounds in this amazing chess event, because the games are really dynamic. The games are really cool. I think it's very interesting time format, 20 minutes on the clock without increments per move. So amazing stuff so far by Alireza Firouzja. So okay, if you want to see some other games that we have covered, here are links. Here are some links of some games that we have analyzed before. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos. And what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.